thanks for this opportunity. This is the first time I'm talking about anything other than mathematics, so it feels kind of weird to start with the devil. But lately I read some books about democracy in chains and about agribusiness and how it is ruining the environment and so on. And then I thought, well, what? So capitalism doesn't work, socialism doesn't work, and then what is going on? Why does it not work? And then I thought about David. So when I came to United States first, then people tried to convert me, and one of them told me that tried to impress me how many miracles Jesus has made. So I told him, well, a lot of Hindu saints have done the same sort of miracles also. And then he said, no, but these are miracles by devil. Then I was surprised. I told him, but now you are telling me that devil is even greater than Christ, because not only can he do the same miracles, but he can empower other people to do the same miracles which Christ made and which made Christ great. So then he was upset with me. But then I found out after I talked with some more educated Christians that devil is actually considered a root cause of the evil. It's not meant to be completely personal, as this uneducated guy probably thought. So what is the root cause of all the evil? First of all, we don't have a hard and fast concept of this is evil and this is not evil. Whatever leads me to self-realization is good, and whatever leads me away from it is bad. But it is very difficult to draw a hard line that this particular action is definitely bad and this is not, this is definitely good. Okay, why does it happen like this then? Because of Maya. And Maya is the name given for the appearance of the world when, according to Advaita philosophy, Brahman alone is existing. So one would imagine that Maya is probably the devil, but it's not. So actually, we worship Adimaya as a goddess, and we think of Maya as an aspect of the Brahma itself, which makes the attributeless Brahma appear like a world with the attribute. So how about ego, ahankar? Ahankar is what makes us feel different from other people, and obviously we have to feel different from other people to engage in self-interest. And so, in some interpretation of Ramayana and Mahabharata, Ravana and Bhishma are said to be representatives of our ego, and they are the last to die in this epic battle. Metaphorically, our epic battle towards self-realization. So, but at the same time, the ego is considered a projection of the Brahma through the lens of Maya. If we don't have ego and we don't consider ourselves to be different from other people, there is no way to define responsibility and no way to define ethics. So by itself, ego is not a devil either. Who is it then? What is causing all these troubles listed in these books which I mentioned and which we see around us? So in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that Kama is the one which makes us perform all kinds of sins, meaning our desires. And then we are all slaves of our desires. For example, why do we work so hard and keep our boss happy? Because we want to keep our job and we want pay raises. If we quit the job, then who cares about the boss? Then we don't work anymore. So it is our desires which make us slaves. So there is a strange thing about desires. If they are fulfilled, then they grow even more. न जातु कामः कामानाम् उपभोगेन शाम्यते हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्तते. If they are not fulfilled, then we feel sad and we feel angry. But then the Gita also says at the same time that the desires which are not inconsistent with dharma are actually manifestations of God himself. Dharma viruddho kameshu kamosmi bharat. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. So there are shades of desire actually when the desire is rooted in body consciousness and it grows uncontrollable, clouding our sense of dharma, developing into greed, then it is a devil. And that's what Gita enjoins us to kill this enemy. The evil in this world can be traced to desire grown into unfettered greed. So Kama acts by influencing our body, mind, and intellect. And in Guru Charitra, there is a very strange way why it says that when the sun rises, then there are demons called Mandeha who try to eat it. And therefore the Brahmins should offer Arghya, which becomes weapon to kill these demons. But the demons are also Brahmins, so then to save this sin, the Brahmins should do a self-rotation. So every time I read it, I thought it was very weird. The Hindus in the ancient days were experts in astronomy. Then I realized that the sun is really self-realization. The name of the demon was Manadeha, body and mind. And of course, when we progress towards self-realization, it is our body and mind in which the calm resides, which tries to oppose it. And water offering arghya means is a representative of devotion. So with devotion, we can kill it, but we are not supposed to kill them. Desire is also a manifestation of God, and without desire, we cannot do any action. So we should not kill them. And so what we have to do is do an introspection, that is the self-revolution. But so with introspection, we can see whether our desires are in accordance with dharma or not, and are they likely to lead us to self-realization or not. If a desire to self-realization, that is a good desire, definitely. That is not even considered calm. It is a help. And it's like taking out one thorn by using another. So we are engaged in a constant, eternal battle inside towards self-realization. With devotion, the whole thing becomes sweet. When we have devotion, then God is the one who is doing everything, including reaping the fruit. We are only witness. So what we call bhakti, karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, if I think about it, they are just different names to indicate essentially the same thing in different languages to suit the temperaments of different people. So the devil is the karma which develops into greed, and devotion is the way to combat it. Thank you.